Well, ladies and gentlemen, the thing about Asmongold, I appreciate that he's talking about culture war issues. I do appreciate it. And what I'm most appreciative is that his audience is way more intelligent and way more with it than he is. Because when you have somebody who is the global head for Xbox coming out with an obnoxiously racist, woke, out of touch statement, and Asman's position was, well, guys, okay, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. No, if you are the global head of Xbox and you are going on your social media saying, hands up if you're not a white man, nothing against white men, but we people of color or we minorities in gaming have to let other people know that we exist. That is, in every way, an obnoxious, grotesque, racist, out of your mind, far left woke statement that people have every right to make sure that that person feels uncomfortable in gaming forever. Asman, I don't know what game you're trying to play here, but there is no excuse or justification for what this person said. Now, you could say, well, this isn't the worst thing that I've seen. Sure, I just did a video on GDC 2024, the Game Developers Conference, where you had slideshows saying, well, Marxism is great for being a game developer. So, sure, there are things that are worse. But if we want a better gaming community, which I think most people do, we have to remove and purge this sort of filth from the ranks. This cannot be acceptable. You go out there and you start discriminating. And by the way, Asman, I'm going to play a little bit from your video. I know you're not an idiot. I know you're not stupid. So you can tell the difference between running a poll with your audience, asking them if they're white, asking them if they're black. That is a world of difference than putting that in a negative connotation. Putting their race in a negative connotation. Putting their gender in a negative connotation. Hands up if you're not white and you're not male. Do you understand that that's exclusionary? That is not bringing people in. That's not unifying people. That is not creating an atmosphere of positivity as it relates to gaming. That is an obnoxious, absurd, racist, sexist statement from a woke, far left progressive in gaming. I know you're allergic to the term leftist because you are left wing. I know you don't like that term. Doesn't matter. It still applies here. It's still applicable. This woman is a far left nut job that thought that she was in a safe space where she could blurt out her heinous, racist, sexist, dogmatic ideology. And thank God the gaming community at this point says no. You're not welcome here. Get out. And the woman had to private her account. She deleted the original comment. Good. These left-wing racists, these left-wing bigots, I will continue to say left-wing because I know that it irritates Asmongold because he thinks that people who use the term left-wing or right-wing are, he thinks that they're less intelligent. I remember I took notes from another video. He thinks people, no, I mean, he thinks a lot of really, really stupid things. I remember in another video, Asman thinks that people are not sick of bending the knee to the woke. Hey, Asman, why don't you run a poll with your community? Are you sick of bending the knee to the woke? What do you think? What do you think the percentage of that would be? 75%? 80%? I think Asmongold, I don't think that he's an idiot. I do think he understands that his perspective is so far in the minority. And I think that the reason why he says what he says is for a number of different reasons. And this isn't a personal attack. But his job, it exists within a certain echo chamber on Twitch. Twitch is, I mean, goddamn near communistic in its leadership. I mean, you know the whole joke about like Twitch or Discord moderators and Twitch moderators and Reddit moderators, like the genuine human filth that exists at these companies, you know, these left wing companies. Maybe he's just doing it for his own self interest and self preservation, which can't fault the guy for that. I mean, like, if Hassan Piker was the biggest, streamer on the platform, now that his audience has been cut by what, 40%, 50%, and he's getting, absolutely pounded for that, which is hilarious. Maybe that's his form of self preservation, where I'm going to straddle the line, I'm going to, be left wing. I don't think he's stupid enough to be left wing. I think he's playing a role. I think that he is doing this deliberately for self preservation, which I can't fault him for, because, like, if you're in California, you can't exactly be a MAGA Republican. You have to sort of be like, oh, I'm like a McCain Republican. I have to be sort of like this Mitt Romney Republican because I'm in a den of psychopaths and, commies and, degenerates and other sodomites. So, let's see. I did take notes here. Oh. I remember in the video we did, Asmon said the line between Republicans and Nazis is being blurred. So Asmon has had some whoppers. I mean, as far as dumb opinions, but I don't think he's genuinely dumb. I just think, simply put, I think that he is saying what he thinks his audience. Maybe not his audience directly, but what the audience of the people working at Twitch may think. The CEO of Twitch and the people working there, and maybe other content creators saying what he thinks that they want to hear. That's just subjection. That's conjecture on my part. But let's watch a little bit of this video because holy shit, this was, when I saw this, it made me laugh.
Oh, I actually did see this. I know I might get some pushback for this because people love talking about this kind of stuff and like getting upset about it. So this is what the tweet was, and this tweet is a retweet of a screenshot of another tweet. And so this is the original text. This is actually where it came from, and we'll actually look at what happened. A lady says, and she's the global head of marketing at Xbox. She says, raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games. And she says, no hate to white dudes. It's just another day in the gaming industry where minorities have to prove that they exist. Everybody knows minorities play video games. Like, what is this? It's like, also, it's stupid and maybe like a little bit awkward, but I don't really think that this is, am I the person that's going to have the hot take that this isn't really that big of a deal, and I don't really find this to be inherently racist? It's a big deal because she's head of global marketing for Xbox. I mean, she's on a mission to make everything as woke as possible. Yeah, I see why people think that, but the problem is that when you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And I don't think this one's a nail, guys. I don't. Now, maybe it's a thumbtack. Maybe it might even be a screw. But it's really not a nail. It's just a temperature check of like, hey.
What an absolutely ridiculous... Asmon, you realize that a screw is worse than a nail, right? A screw is going to do far more damage than an actual nail. But anyway, getting into the point of what he's saying, he's trying to downplay this. Oh, what even is the big deal? And I would agree with you if one thing weren't true, Asmon. Look at the way that this is phrased. Listen to the way that it's phrased. You understand that what you're saying here is not right. I know it is, because you're not being as vociferous. You're not saying this with your chest out the way that you do in a lot of other cases. You know that you're wrong here. Raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy gaming. That doesn't sound very unifying. That doesn't sound like it's a comment coming from a place of love or genuine interest in gaming. That sounds like it's said with a chip on their shoulder, a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of hate. Because if I were looking to get the opinion of people, let's just reverse this. What if I were to release a tweet saying, raise your hand if you're not a woman? Raise your hand if you're not a black woman and you buy games. No hate to black women. It's just another day in the gaming industry that we have to fight to prove that we still exist. Now, let me ask you, Asmon, do you think that my statement would be racist? I guarantee you'd say yes. Guaranteed you'd say yes, because all you have to do to tell if something is racist is to take the energy of what's being said and then flip the races and flip the gender. Now, this statement could have worked if this woman said to all my girls out there in the gaming community, tell me, what's your favorite gaming moment? What's your favorite character in gaming? What was the moment that you realized that gaming was important to you? But you see, this woman doesn't care about that. This statement is a declaration. This is a statement saying, white men, you're not welcome. We're trying to create a new gaming space where you're not part of the conversation. Now, Asmon, even you should be able to understand this. People do not want this. This should not be allowed in gaming at all. And it's not a hammer in search of a nail. This is a nail. And this should be stomped out. Any variation of this should be stomped out. Because it's unacceptable. It would be unacceptable if it were about another race. It would be unacceptable if it were about another gender. Now, when you're the global head of marketing for Xbox, your job, really on social media, by the way, this is terrible marketing. This person should be fired if for no other reason than she's terrible at her job. But this statement coming from who she is a major problem, Asmon. And you know this. Now, for whatever reason, you're downplaying it, but I gotta tell you, it's not a hot take what you're saying. It's just a hot load of shit. This left-wing, woke, racist sentiment is not acceptable in gaming. It never should be. It never should be.
There actually are minorities here. Can I get some representation? Can you guys tell them that this is true? I don't think that this is advocating for any sort of exclusion. I don't think it's advocating for degradation. I really don't think it's you could say it's a weird post, for sure.
Hands up. Raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games. The phrasing of that is exclusionary. Raise your hand if you're not a white man. Asmon, I know you're not retarded. I know you're not this stupid. You know this is an exclusionary statement. You're aware of it. All you have to do is read it. Why are you attempting to give cover to these terrible people with these terrible left-wing ideas? I will continue in every Asmongold video to say left-wing because it triggers him. It bothers him when you use the term left-wing because people on the left are so hideously despicable and racist in this way. This is the majority of the left, and this is not going away. This has been going on for 10 years. My job is to call this out and hopefully one day to make these bigots and racists in the left-wing gaming space to feel so uncomfortable and so unwelcome that they don't just feel like they can drop a statement like this. Now, thankfully, the gaming community pushed back and this person has privated their account. which is what all heroes do, right? When you're on the right side of history, you definitely run away and private your account and then delete the tweet and then reframe it. The fact that she felt comfortable posting that in the first place in this form, we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do to get rid of a lot of these left-wing ideas from gaming.
But like I've done, for example, a lot of other like polls in my stream, like, you know, are you white or not? Are you black or not? And so like I've done this before because I was just curious to see what people would vote. And I don't think this one is that big of a deal. Am I crazy? And I get how.
Yes, but did you run a poll saying don't vote on this if you're white? Or don't vote on this if you're black? Is that what you're saying? Is that how you phrase the poll? Did you phrase the poll in the positive? Like, hey, vote in the chat if you're black. That's a positive. That's not in the negative. The way that she's phrasing this is in the negative because she's using the word not. She's not saying, raise your hand if you're a woman and you buy video games. If you said, raise your hand and you're a woman and you buy video games, there'd be no problem. But she intentionally, deliberately phrased it, raise your hand if you're not a white man. That is exclusionary. Asmon, you cannot be this fucking retarded. I know that you know that what you're saying here is horseshit. I refuse to believe that you are that Dunning-Kruger that you don't understand that one of these woke left-wing personalities who's working as the global head of marketing for Xbox saying, raise your hand if you're not a white man. That is a racist, sexist, discriminatory statement by its very nature. What if I were to run a poll or say, raise your hand if you're not an Asian woman and you buy video games? Raise your hand if you're not an Asian woman and play video games. Oh, because I'm just trying to create a statement of unity, right? God, Asmon, there are times where I just want to reach to the screen and throw a goddamn pie in your face. Because you're so ridiculous with this stuff. There's no way that you in good faith could possibly have this goddamn opinion.
How you could perceive this as being bad. I do, and like I totally see that. But like I try to interpret things in good faith. And I assume that people are not as bad as, you know, like the worst tweet makes them out to be. Like here's my perspective, right? Is that there's a lot of people that do and say stuff like this that are a lot worse. So whenever I see somebody who's kind of on the edge and it's like, oh, well, if I interpret this in the most uncharitable way, I can turn this person into a bad guy. Well, why would I focus on doing that when there's people that do that job for me?
Oh, yeah. Hey, why do you guys have a problem with Vosh having, horse porn and lolly underage stuff on his computer? Why would you have a problem with that? Don't you know that there are real people who violate horses and violate little girls out there? Why would you have a problem with them? Why would you have a problem with, pedophiles who just have, the stuff on their computer? Don't you know that there are people who are worse out there? There are people who actually go out there and touch kids. Asmon, you are very quickly eroding any sort of confidence I had in your intelligence or your moral center. No, it is unacceptable or okay that this woman is a racist or a sexist because, well, there are worse people out there. Of course, there are always worse people out there. That's not the metric. We don't look at crime. We don't look at the culture and say, well, it could be worse, so let's just accept how it is. No, we look at somebody like this and we say, we want this person out. We want their ideology out. Their left-wing, racist, discriminatory politics, we want it out of gaming completely. It has no place here. Could it be worse? Yes. Yeah. I mean, that is such a remarkably repugnant statement. It would be, this isn't a great analogy, but it would be like if somebody broke into Asmon's house when he was younger and they shot and killed his mom. And he were like, oh God, I'm devastated. This is like the worst thing that's ever happened. And some therapist was like, well, yeah, Asmon, but I mean, it could be worse. Somebody could have also killed your dad. How the fuck does that help you? You're going through one of the worst things in your life. No, I'm not saying this is one of the worst things. What I'm trying to demonstrate is that this sort of moral relativism is immediately repugnant to most people because it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't even address the problem. It's sort of saying, well, yeah, things are bad, but they could be much, much worse. So therefore, what is even the point in calling this out? What is the point in addressing this? Because it could be worse. Don't you know that there are people like Vosh on the internet? It's like, yes, I can also at the same time condemn Vosh as I can condemn Hassan, as I can condemn this person. Now, do I think this person is as bad as either of them? No. But what she's saying here is bad. It is wrong. It deserves condemnation. It deserves to be ridiculed. This person does not ever deserve, or rather, this person should never feel comfortable coming on the internet and saying something like this ever. And this is a failure of us as a gaming community. This person should have written this post out and before hitting send, looked at it and go, oh, wow, I'm going to get absolutely destroyed for this. The gaming community is going to excoriate me. Maybe I should frame this differently. Maybe I should self-censor in this way. Maybe I shouldn't just be so mask-off racist and sexist. Maybe I should rethink what I'm doing here. That would be the ideal. To create a space within gaming where people like this don't feel comfortable, or racists don't feel comfortable, or sexists don't feel comfortable. But it seems like they do. They feel very comfortable. These racists and sexists on the left, which, by the way, most of the bigotry that we see publicly displayed is from people on the left like this, just casually. Just, yeah, I'm a good person. I'm a tolerant, accepting person. But by the way, no whites allowed. No men allowed.
Because they leave all the ambiguity, and they're just pieces of shit. So what am I going to do, get mad at her? I think it's stupid too, but I don't really think this is evidence of hating white men. I don't think so. There's nothing wrong with this. Could be perceived every other way. Doing it and just asking for reactions. The internet is currently on fire because of this bullshit. I mean, most people that consume internet content are not even on, people who consume video games are not even on the internet looking at this content. Let's totally be honest here, right? Love your content, been watching for years, but lately it seems like your content's been complaining about woke culture. It gets boring. Seems like you're stuck in a corner trying to please an incel audience. I think that really, like, if I look at your chat logs, you're a WoW player and you're just unhappy that I'm not talking about WoW. Because, like, if I go and I look at my videos, for example, so there's one video and then the second one. So out of 16 videos, 2 of them are about that. And also, like, I find that to be kind of very odd. It's like you're literally not even listening to what I'm saying. I'm actually kind of defending this. I'm defending this. I'm saying, like, this isn't really that bad. It seems potentially innocuous, and it's like people are overreacting. Ignoring queer bad actors, saying racist shit is how we got.
Well, he is defending it, but it is bad. Because it's not a statement in the affirmative, it's a statement in the negative. It is attempting to marginalize white men, and as we see from, GDC and other places, they are trying to eliminate or alienate straight white men. This is an ongoing thing. If it were just this one thing, I would say you maybe have a point. But there is an ongoing concerted effort from a bunch of left-wing political activists within the gaming space to try to normalize this type of behavior. And it is our job to make sure that they know that this is never going to be normalized. And they have no place here, and they're not welcome. They're not welcome. Gaming is for everyone, just not for them. Not because of their race, not because of their gender, not because of their sexual identity, but because they're hideously terrible people that want to spew their hatred. It would be like Asmongold running his channel, and all of a sudden, in walks some skinhead neo-Nazi with a swastika on his forehead. Asmongold would be like, the fuck? What the hell is... Get out. Like, dude, why are you on my channel? What's going on here? He'd want it out immediately. Well, that's how we feel about this. It may not be a one-for-one. I'm not saying this person's a neo-Nazi. What I'm saying is the sentiment is the same. We don't want any of these elements in gaming. We don't want these people feeling like they're comfortable saying, we don't want white men. That's essentially what this is. This is an attack on white men. Raise your hand if you're not a white man. Raise your hand if you're not a black woman. Asmin, I know you're smarter than this.
Not here in the first place? Yeah, exactly. That's why I try to focus on the ones that are like the worst instances. It's a statement, not a poll. She's head of marketing, already has access to player statistics. Well, I think she was trying to demonstrate it for the people that were, following her Twitter or something like that. And again, like, I'm not saying that it's not stupid. I'm saying that, like, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Like, am I crazy? Like, I don't think that every single time that somebody makes a tweet that could be interpreted in an uncharitable way, we need to have a fire drill for it. Like, that's really it. We gotta stop being on edge all the time. And that's the problem. I think that's actually a really good, you know what? That's a really good way to say it. So I think people are so on edge on the internet that they're constantly looking for anything that can, like, set them off. And they're looking to get, like, really mad about this stuff. People are...
My guy. No. No. There are some instances where that's true, but this is not one of them. When you have an upper echelon executive at Xbox, who's going online saying, raise your hand if you're not a white man. Asmin, I want you to just say the statement. Read it out loud. Don't just read it in your head. Read it out loud. Raise your hand if you're not a white man. And then I want you to change the race and gender. I do. I want you to say it out loud. Raise your hand if you're not a black woman and you buy video games. Raise your hand if you're not a white woman and play video games. Just change the race and gender, and immediately you understand why this is a problem. We don't want this sentiment in gaming at all. We don't want people feeling comfortable sharing their left-wing prejudicial views. This person has a problem with white men. Fine. But you keep that to yourself. It is so obnoxious to me, the way that he approached this video. And I've gone on longer than I wanted to for this video. I've gone on for, darn near 30 minutes. But I think this is so crucially important that people understand. So, anyway, that'll do it for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad the gaming community doesn't agree with Asmongold. I'm glad his audience doesn't agree. I'm glad that a majority of people can see through this and can call these people out, because these left-wing political activists are the worst. Oh, you're not a white man? Well, we don't want to hear from you. Yeah, it's not acceptable. And it never should be. Anyway, That'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.